Hey guys, welcome back to the Prana YouTube channel. This is Turk with Scuba with Turk here in Ahmed, Bali at Prana Dive Center. So today I have a couple things I want to talk to you about. Hey, so I'm a new diver and I'm interested in learning some more. Yeah, what can I do for you? Well, I don't have a lot of dives. I want to try to figure out what I can do. Have a seat, let's have a chat. So, tell me a little bit about your current diving. How much experience do you have? Well, just in my open water course not long ago, I think I have 10 dives, 15 dives maybe. I have to look at my log. Okay. So you're relatively new? Yeah, I'm relatively new. Well, it looks like we're going to change things up today, since I have a guest here apparently. So let's talk about some things that can really help you in your diving. First thing that I want to discuss, for all of you new divers out there, just like you, is how much weight are you currently using? Weight is a big part of our diving. Yeah, I use currently 12 kilos. How much? 12 kilos? Okay, that's a lot of weight. Is it? So why are you using so much weight? Because my instructor told me that's what I needed? Okay. Let's stop right there. So with weighting, we really want to make sure that we're only carrying enough weight so that on our safety stop, with minimal gas in our cylinder, say 50 bar, we are not popping to the surface. Okay. So what we're doing is we're weighting all of the things that are positively buoyant. We're waiting for our wetsuit, we're waiting for our BCD, we're waiting for, maybe we have positively buoyant fins and we have the boots on. So we're adding weight for all of those things. And then a very important thing is we're waiting for the lost gas. The what? Lost gas? Yeah, if we're diving aluminum cylinders, as we breathe those cylinders down, that cylinder at some point in time is going to become neutral, and then as we go a little bit further, it's going to become positively buoyant. I don't understand what you mean. What we don't want is for us to be popping to the surface, because now we breathe our cylinder down to say 65 bar, we're on our way back, and now we can't hold a safety stop. I think I understand. Does that make sense? Yeah, I think so. Okay, well, there's a couple different ways to do weight checks. Right, there's a weight check when you understand your weighting, and you're by yourself. But as an instructor, what I like to do is I will get some, especially my open water students, I get them in the pool because they can't damage anything in the pool, and I have them in the gear they're going to be diving in. They deflate the BCD fully and exhale fully. And I want to see where in the water column they are. Are they still at the surface? Are they in that top third of the water column? And then at that point, I am underwater and I start handing them weights. I'll give you one weight, you hold it here. Now exhale fully, and we'll see if you go down. If not, we wait, I hand you another one. You hold it here, so now you have two, same process. Exhale fully and go down. Picking that up? Yeah, I think so. Okay. So, what I'm looking for is I want to give them enough weight to where when they exhale fully, they end up on the bottom. Great. Now I know exactly how much weight you need in order to descend. Okay. Now we still have two other factors we have to consider because we are in a pool. We have to figure in the fact that we're going to be diving in salt water. And then we have to figure in that lost gas. So then we add weight based on that. And that will be your final weighting. Okay. Which is going to be a lot less than the 12 kilos you told me you dive in. All right, if you say so. Well, I'm just going to make a guesstimate here. You probably need 4 kilos. That's just a guess, but obviously we have to do a proper weight check. 4? Wow. All right. Wow, so I actually dive a lot like this. Is that because of all the weight that I have on me? Well, yeah, the reason you're diving like this, at an angle, what I call a seahorse position, is because you have all that weight around your waist, not allowing you to get in what we call trim, right? Proper trim, which is nice and flat in water, which makes us hydrodynamic, less drag in the water, more efficient we are. The more efficient we are, the less gas we use. The less gas we use, the longer the dive. Okay, but I use the BCD a lot. I'm always adjusting, adding gas, dumping gas. No, you shouldn't have to keep using the BCD. And that goes into my next point is understanding proper buoyancy and being able to dial in that buoyancy. With all that weight you have on right now, you're adding a lot of gas at the beginning of the dive on your descent to stop from smashing into the bottom. When I dive, I exhale, I go down, I'm just adding a tiny bit. A couple squirts, and I'm neutrally buoyant. I don't need any more gas unless I'm starting to go deeper, and then another small adjustment and I'm fine. The rest of the dive is me adjusting my buoyancy just using my lungs, as well as on the ascent, using that rear dump if I'm inside mount, or for your case, if you're using that jacket style BCD, you're using that kidney dump back here, and just dumping tiny bits of gas as that expands on our ascent. Yeah, does that make sense? And then when we go up, we just press that button, right? No. Never use the BCD as an elevator button. We're not using it to go to the top floor. On our ascent, we can kick. We have fins and these big muscles in our legs. So we kick up and dumping gas on the way up. We're not adding gas, we're dumping it because the gas in our wings expand. Okay. Proper weighting is going to help with that. It's going to allow you to have better control over your joints and more fine-tuned control over your joints, which is another key. Once we get our weighting right, then we start working on dialing in that buoyancy, just using our lungs to make those adjustments during the dive. Okay, yeah, and sometimes I'm really close to the bottom and I struggle quite a bit. Yeah, and you shouldn't be that close to the bottom, not as a new diver. When I'm diving, you'll see that I'm pretty close to the bottom, but I'm also using a different propulsion technique. I'm using a frog kick. So if you're using a flutter kick and you're that close to the bottom, what's happening is you're kicking sand up everywhere. And we don't want that. That's that big cloud of dust behind me, right? Yeah, that cloud of dust you see behind you, which makes everybody behind you really upset with you. So what you should do is just use your lungs, inhale, come up a little bit. Fin. You use that flutter kick, and as you're going, look back a little. Is there still a cloud? If there is, another little adjustment with your lungs to come up just a little bit higher. Now no cloud? Good. That's the depth you need to be at in order to dive in what we call an environmentally friendly manner. Yep, and that's something we can work on. Now, the next thing is that new divers really need to work on. I teach this to my open water students, as well as all the students. Any course I do, this is a practice I get them into. Do you know, at 10 minutes into your dive, do you know how much gas you've used? Yeah, I didn't think so. So what I have my students do at, say, 10 minutes into the dive, is, hey, I ask them, how much gas do you have? They're not allowed to look. First thing you do is you look at your computer and see, what is my dive time and what depth am I at? Then using those numbers, and at first you don't really understand it, but you're going to develop this relationship between time, depth, and gas consumption. So what is my dive time? What is my depth? I think I have this much gas. And then you look. And then I have them first tell me their thought, their guess, and then they tell me what their actual gas is. Now, someone like you should be doing that on every dive. Now, you don't have to signal to your buddy what you think you have and look, but in your head, you can say, okay, it's time for me to check my gas. What's my dive time? 20 minutes in. What's my depth? Okay. I think I have this much gas. And then verify. How close are you? The more you do that, if you do that on every dive, multiple times, anytime you need to check your gas, you're doing that drill, you're going to develop this relationship. So over time, what's going to happen is you're going to say, oh, I'm X amount of minutes into my dive, I'm at this depth, and you're going to guess, and you're going to be within about 5 bar probably. Wow. Yep, you can guess within 5. Okay. So what's that do for me? Yeah, so what that does is it allows you to understand the environment and how things are affecting you. If I'm diving and I say, okay, I think I have 120 bar left, and I look and I only have 100 bar left, what's going on? Maybe I have a potential leak on the back that no one noticed, or maybe they noticed it and just never told me about. Oh, you mean those streams of bubbles you see with people out here everywhere? Yes, I see divers here all the time with bubbles coming out, and they don't check that. But that's for another video when we talk about bubble checks and escrows. Bubble checks and escrows, what are those? One step at a time. Okay, so why do I have less gas than I thought? Oh, am I in a head current? That could be a reason, right? I'm working a little bit harder than what I normally do on a dive, so therefore I'm consuming more gas. But why do I have more gas than I should, than I typically do at this dive time and this depth? Is it because maybe there's a current that I'm getting pushed? I will say that for me, my first dive of the day, my gas consumption is always a little higher than my second dive. Really? Why? You know, that's a good question. I have no idea why. I'm not really sure, but I always, on the first dive of the day, my gas consumption is just a little bit higher than on my second dive. Second dive is to my normal consumption, what I would consider my normal consumption, and what I typically plan my dives around. That first one's always just a little bit elevated. Yeah, so you're going to want to work on that gas relationship, right? Always understanding how much gas you have and not having to look and not being sure how much gas you have. You should never be surprised when you look at your SPG. Oh my gosh, I'm 50 bar. You should never have that problem. We should always be working our way. We should always know how much gas we have and make decisions based upon that. We should never be surprised and like, oh my gosh, I'm 50 bar, now we have to go up. You should know that you're approaching that and already making your way to your exit. Or if you're in the blue, making your way up to that safety style and then coming up.
Now, will having my own gear help at all?
Yeah, having your own gear will help. Absolutely. That is one of my top tips for divers, is making sure that you have some gear that's your own. Because if you're going from dive center to dive center, the gear is going to vary a little bit, right? The fins may be different, the boots may be different, there may be different thicknesses, which is going to adjust your buoyancy a little bit. It's going to change your profile in the water. The fins might be positively buoyant at one place, they might be negatively buoyant, a heavier fin at another place. The BCDs might be different. So it's really great to have your own gear, but what gear should I buy? Okay, let me finish.
Do I need to buy a BCD?
Yes, all right, so the first piece of gear, no, you don't need to buy a BCD right away. The first piece of gear that you really need to get is a mask. Mask allows us to be, a proper fitting mask allows us to be comfortable in the water. If it's constantly leaking, we're constantly clearing it. Number one, every time we clear our mask, we're wasting gas. It's gas that we wouldn't be wasting if the mask fit properly and wasn't leaking. Plus, a proper fitting mask that doesn't leak allows us to be a little bit more comfortable in the water. And being comfortable in the water is extremely important for a new diver. The more we dive, and that's actually my last tip, is dive, 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 dive. The more dives you do, the more comfortable we become. The more comfortable we become, the better this we get. But a good fitting mask. Now it is difficult to find a good fitting mask for you out there on YouTube watching this. The best thing you can do is find a dive center. Their rental masks are also the masks that they're selling in the dive center. Because then you can actually go, hey, I want to go dive. You take a rental mask, it doesn't work. Swap it out to another one. Ooh, this one fits really well. It's not leaking. And you come back and you buy that mask. And now you know you have a mask that fits properly and there's no guessing game. When I first started diving, I think I bought 3 or 4 masks and they were all suboptimal, to say the least, before I found one that finally fit me properly and allowed me to develop that comfort in the water.
Okay.
Okay, so you have a mask. What's the next piece of gear? Right. Well, for me personally, I mean, I would say dive computer, you should have, as a diver, you should have a dive computer. You have to know your depth, you have to know your NDL, you have to know your dive time. So, dive computer, and that will give you a little bit of comfort, knowing what depth you're at, being able to pay attention to that. And also to develop that gas relationship we talked about between time, depth, and gas consumption. But for comfort, to develop comfort in the water, I think your own boots and fins are a must. And it depends, the fins you're going to buy are going to depend on your propulsion technique. I personally use more what we call a paddle fin. but I'm using frog kicks, I'm doing helicopter turns, back fins. So it's a little bit different than somebody who's doing a flutter kick. If you use a paddle fin for a flutter kick, your legs are going to get extremely tired. They're just not made for that. You can do it, but over a long dive, your legs are going to get tired. So a longer fin is more suited for that type of kick. Having your own fins and your own boots means your buoyancy in that section never changes. Another thing I read, what about having my own wetsuit?
Should I buy a wetsuit?
Yep, I was going to say that next, but you seem very eager. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to thermal protection. Having your own wetsuit is great. You might not be traveling with your own wetsuit. Some people do, some people don't. If you can, that's great, because now you know that your buoyancy is not going to change. You don't have to get a wetsuit from a dive center, and you don't know if it's a 3 mil, but how many times has that 3 mil been compressed and back to normal and compressed and back to normal? Eventually it loses some of that thickness over time, which changes its buoyancy characteristics. With your own dive, with your own wetsuit, you know the buoyancy characteristics of it, you've weighted yourself to that wetsuit, so it is going to help you out.
So shorty or long?
And depending on where you're diving, if you do warm water diving, buying a 3 mil shorty is perfectly acceptable. And you carry that 3 mil shorty with you everywhere you go. And actually, just another little top tip, if you do have your own regs, which you don't have to buy, but if you happen to buy your own reg set, when you're traveling, you can actually wrap your regs in the wetsuit. It's a great way to protect your regs.
And just what? Like, should I just keep diving?
Yeah, dive as often as you can. That is, like I said before, that is a very, very big tip of mine that I give to all my students. Any new diver is just keep diving. You'll see, and I'm going to talk about, in another video, I'm going to talk about SAC rates and RMV and how that works, how we determine what our SAC rate is, convert that to RMV to some dive planning. But if you understand that already, like my students do when I'm teaching the radio open water course,
this is the way.
This is the way.
they understand that SAC rate, and over time, they see that number starting to drop, and drop, and drop. It's not big changes, but there are changes, and eventually it's going to plateau, and now that's your number. Now, continue to dive, 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 and it's going to drop a little bit more.
Okay.
But it's eventually going to plateau totally off, and it's not going to change, and that's based on our physiology. Yeah, the more you dive, the more comfortable you become in the water. The more efficient you become in the water as well.
So can you just kind of go over everything you talked about, just kind of a quick summary?
Yeah? Okay, I can do that. So to recap, we want to make sure we get our weighting. We want to weight ourselves properly.
Okay, so we're weighing ourselves for all the different items that we're wearing that are
Yes,
possible. Yeah.
exactly. For the exposure protection we're having,
Yeah.
plus the buoyancy of the water we're diving in. So salt water, we're going to need a little bit more weight. And the gas loss, exactly. A great way to do that is you can throw on a cylinder that has 50 bar in it. You can even throw on a cylinder that has 35 bar in it, which is a little bit better for you. And then jump in the water, and can you hold it stopped? You don't have to be at 5 or 6 meters. You can do it in a 1 or 2 meter pool. And if you can hold your buoyancy at 1 or 2 meters with 35 bar in a cylinder, you're good. Now, this is assuming you don't have a BCD that's filled full of gas, right? Minimal gas in that BCD. The other is your gas relationship, or the relationship of your gas consumption based on time and depth. So understanding that, thinking and making an educated guess prior to checking. So check your computer first, time, depth, I think I have this much gas, and confirm. And do that consistently on every dive multiple times throughout the dive. The next is buoyancy, dialing in that buoyancy so we're not using the BCD constantly. You shouldn't have to hold it. Your hands should be out here in a normal diving position. You shouldn't be holding the BCD constantly making adjustments. We make 1 or 2 adjustments at depth. We make an adjustment as we go a little bit deeper, tiny bit more gas, and the rest of the buoyancy controls with our lungs or with our rear or kidney dumps as we're making ascents and the gas expands. So making sure
I'm not supposed to use that to go up, right? I don't use that button to go up.
Exactly, it's not an elevator button. Stop using that thing as an elevator button to come up. You should have a minimal amount of gas in your beast. The other one is purchasing some gear that's going to make you more comfortable in the water. First off, a proper fitting mask is extremely important. And then what we call the personal items. So your boots, your fins, your wetsuit.
Yeah, I'd have to have my own because I pee in my wetsuit all the time.
Yeah, there's only two types of bikers. Those that pee in their wetsuits and those that lie about it. And do you really want to get into a rental wetsuit that someone's peed in? Now here at Prana we do sterilize all our wetsuits. But still, I like to have my own wetsuit. I do not like using my own
Well,
wetsuit.
then if it's mine, I'll pee in it, right?
I don't want to see that or think of it again.
So gear that you're comfortable with, that you understand the weighting characteristics of. I need X amount of weight for this wetsuit in this configuration. This wetsuit, these boots, these fins, I need this. And that is great. The next thing is just to practice diving. Dive, 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 dive. You cannot dive, you can dive too much. But get in the water, practice as often as you can, even if that's in a pool. Right? If you have access to a pool, get in the pool. Practice your buoyancy in the pool. Find one spot on the pool to stare at and try to not move up and down from that spot. Try to just hold your buoyancy using your lungs to fine tune. But if you can get in the ocean, get in the ocean, especially in different environments, current, no current, daytime, nighttime. If you're doing night dives or low vis dives, make sure you do take a course for that. Don't just jump in the water and do a night dive without being certified for it. But yeah, as many different environments as you can get in because it's going to make you more comfortable. Oh yeah, I've dove with a head current. I understand how to alleviate some of that. I've done a drift dive. I understand how to control myself and my body position in a drift dive. Or I've done a wreck dive. I know how to stay away from sharp, jagged edges. So all of these things, right? The more experience we get in different environments, it makes us better divers.
Do you think we can go diving now?
Yeah, sure. Let's go grab some gear, go dive.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, well, thank you.
All right, guys, we're going to hop in the ocean. Hey, guys, thanks for joining us today. Really appreciate you being here. Things unexpected, but hey, that's the dive center for you. We're going to go jump in the water. So make sure you hit like, subscribe, come back to YouTube and check us out. Until next time, safe diving.